Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this webinar with myself, Ian Fletcher, and Aaron Ravindranathan from Global Emphasis. Good morning, Aaron.
Good morning, Ian. You've got it right this time. Is the name?
You're all very welcome. We are talking about outsourcing, automation, and making tax digital today. We'll be with you for around 40 minutes, and then we'll be taking some questions. In fact, we'll take some questions as we go, Aaron, as usual.
Yeah.
And it's a very important topic right now for those of you that have joined us. Because despite the fact MTD has been delayed due to the snap election, it's still coming towards us. It's still going to happen, and we need to really start thinking about how we organise our production and our methodologies and how we deal with clients to make sure that they can comply with making tax digital.
Yeah.
So it's the 3rd of May 2017. We've muted the sound so that we can't hear you. But if you'd like to ask Aaron a question or myself a question on MTD, outsourcing and automation, then please use the question and answer pad, which you should be able to see in front of you, and we'll stop every so often. So Aaron, tell us something about yourself and how you got into outsourcing, because you're the CEO of Global Emphasis, which has an office in Harrow,
yeah,
and over 150 fee earners in Mumbai.
Yes. I think we'd probably go on the slide.
Sure.
Yeah. That's Ian and me. Just going to the first slide. That's the content of today's webinar, and I think I'll start with just a bit of background about who we are. Global Emphasis was set up in 1999. This was set up by a firm of accountants. It was UK 200 practice. It's still a UK 200 practice in Harrow, and primarily to outsource their work. And when they started seeing the benefit of it, they rolled it out as a separate entity, and hence I came up with one of my colleagues, and we just run it. And over the years, we have seen a lot of traction with outsourcing. Initially, it was a bit difficult for us to sell the concept of outsourcing to accountants, but with the technology and with a lot of changes coming up, especially recruitment and all these various issues, which we'll discuss in a while, we're seeing a lot more traction, and we've grown the business to about 80 plus firms of accountants who use us, and we are privileged to have about 15 of them in the top 100. Including 3 in the top 20, and we are up to about 150 plus staff at our back office in Mumbai, and growing.
Okay, so and I have actually been to your office in Mumbai, so I have seen the systems, and a little bit later we'll just show you how it works.
Yeah.
And we'll talk through how actual outsourcing works to Global Emphasis in India a bit later in the presentation. There's quite a few things we need to talk about, though. If we can flip back to the content, Aaron.
Yep.
You're going to talk to us, well, we talked about Global Emphasis, but I think we need to talk about technology, the cloud, making tax digital, and how you can help firms of accountants with clients that perhaps can't go digital, won't go digital, and where accountants haven't got the resources and the team to be able to service clients with these 5 or 6 reports that they've got to do per annum. Per annum. So let's have a look at that, and let's have a think about some of those subjects. And let's start with technology, if we could.
Yeah. Obviously, I think the technology is not something new, isn't it? We've been discussing about the whole automation and the changes the accounting world is going through over the last probably 2-3 years now. But I think it's picking up with MTD and stuff. It's picking up a lot. But I think we see this as more of an opportunity for firms of accountants. Gone are the days when we used to get tons and tons of documents. Someone used to sit in India typing up all these entries. It doesn't happen. In my view, a particular accountant at our end who would do probably 8 bookkeeping jobs a month are now able to handle 50-60 jobs a month, because mainly to do with technology. So. And automation is never going to change the role of accountants. In fact, it will make them more involved in a client business, because a lot of the process-driven stuff will be automated, and we are happy to assist firms to do that. And the business becomes more productive, because accountants are looking at more things on a real-time basis, which in a way it also put pressure on the accountants, because the clients will be more on the cloud-based technology, and there will be pressures from the clients asking you hear a lot of accountants asking that they are now looking at what is happening with their accounts, and they are in constant contact with accountants to see the progress of their jobs online.
Yeah.
So that brings its own challenge as well. But it's a good thing to have, because your contact point, accountant's contact point with the clients will increase quite a lot because of that. Because you're no longer dealing with the client once a year, because with the technology, the pricing model has enabled you to look at a better recovery rate with the jobs on hand. And the accountants are more engaging with the client, because all the backend will be looked after either by technology, automation, and whatever's left out, we can step in to do the rest of the work.
Technology is just amazing, isn't it, at the moment? I mean, the cloud, where you can input data digitally, it can automatically recognize and process transactions and then provide the output direct to company's house.
Yes.
HMRC already exists. And for some clients, that's going to be quite a straightforward job. Doing their quarterly MTD reports, for example, will be very similar to doing a VAT return. But for other clients, technology and the changes with MTD mean a complete upheaval of what they're doing. For example, if you've got clients with manual books and records or spreadsheets, they're going to struggle, presumably, to move to the cloud and MTD.
I think, I know it's quite easy to say educate your client and they will do it, but we know that probably 8 of them will still do it. You'll always have those 2 of your clients who would say, you know what, I don't have the time to do it. The only solution to that problem then is that just ask them, okay, you've got one of 2 options, either to ask them to just go, and which a lot of my clients have done, and they say, look, a lot of my clients have said, use Xero, QuickBooks, backed up with Receipt Bank, Data Molino for scanning and stuff. And if you're not able to do that, we're talking about a lot of cloud accounting practices, and they say, if you can't follow this, if you don't want to follow this way, then you find some other practice.
Yeah, it's called a FIFO stock control system. Have you heard of that?
Nope.
It's fit in and the last word is off.
Okay, good. So you've got that option. I know it's not the easiest option to ask a client to leave, but if that client is holding back progress.
Or the second option?
The second option is you could still get the clients to send it across to you. You could get the documents scanned, and it can be safely uploaded onto our portal, which I can run through at the end of the webinar. We will do all the processing at our end, and this is why one of the reasons we have got a UK setup and a UK team here. We will handhold the whole process with you, and especially I understand with a lot of sole traders they're always running around trying to get things done. But we've got a UK setup. We can have the team working with you or your managers closely, and making this work. So you're always going to have those clients who will bring in the once a month or once a quarter. They'll bring in these bunch of documents, and you still have to do something about it. So you could basically scan it or use one of the apps to scan the documents, upload it either onto a portal or straight onto Xero, whichever is convenient, or QuickBooks, whichever is convenient, and then view it to the backend processing. In that process, it becomes slightly more labor intensive vis-a-vis those proactive clients.
For that second option, presumably the accountant would use you to do the processing.
Yes.
But the client would have to pay more for the
They obviously will have
scanning.
they obviously have to pay more.
And the third option, really, the third option is say to a client, you need to pay me more money to do this.
Yes.
And if the firm has the staffing and resources and will to do that, then that's fine. But some, as you say, some firms are struggling to get the right amount of people at the moment.
I think most of the firms are, whether it's a sole trader or it's a big, because we've got a wide range of clients, all the way from a one-man band to a top 20 practice, and the consensus between all of them is, which we'll go through a couple of case studies, which will explain what is the situation is, that they don't have a choice. They're not left with much of a choice nowadays, because some firms say they can't find the staff, and some say it's too expensive to hire people.
Aaron and I were talking earlier about technology, and I think it's important at this point we split technology between technology to help your clients input their data to a cloud software package.
It's just more like a document gathering exercise, isn't it? The first.
And secondly, the second technology is to make sure your practice manages the quarterly returns and the error checking that we're going to have to do, because clients are still going to get this wrong. Whether they get it wrong manually with a spreadsheet or with a cloud accounting software, they're still going to make errors when they input data. So our role has to be split technology-wise between practice management and error checking and quarterly analysis of the client's records and what we talk about for the clients. And I think many practitioners don't understand that yet.
I think what we're increasingly finding with clients who have embraced technology and cloud accounting is they've come up with something called the health checks. So they provide this as an additional as a service to their clients, and say they tell the clients, you do the bookkeeping, but technically they can mess it up, but we know they will mess it up. Hence the health check, and say we will charge you X amount a month, you do the bookkeeping, and we will health check it and tidy it up for you. So it has worked for a lot of firms we work with, and the health check is done by us, and we prepare an exception report to the accountant, and they just take a final call on it and then deal with it.
The interesting thing about speaking to you, Aaron, is that you have a wide experience of the different sizes of practices and different types of practices, and also because you're working with 150 practices, you've seen the very best of the cloud, and you've seen the very worst of the cloud, if you like, in terms of firms that haven't even made that switch. And you do consulting with firms, don't you?
Yes, we do, which is why we've got a team here, and either it's me or one of my team members. We are one of the things when we set up this business, and especially in the last 7-8 years, we very quickly realized that we cannot make this as a success unless you've got a UK team who will be going out and talking to a lot of firms of accountants, understand what their requirements are. You need to be constantly talking to, it's not a quick fit, the whole outsourcing. It's a process. It's going to take you 3 to 6 months to make this work. And this is where we get involved from the UK to make sure that we work with the firms and make it a success. At the end of 6 months, of course, some of the clients the firms will come back and say it's not working for us because our clients are never going to change. Now you can't help with that. But however, it's like you treat us part of our extended team, and we just work with you as a team.
So when you if anybody's interested in actually thinking about outsourcing, particularly for those clients that can't make the move to the cloud themselves, need extra training, then you will actually hold the hands of those firms to make sure that it happens.
Just give an example. We recently picked up I think it's a 2-partner practice, and they had exactly the same issue because they had never gone onto cloud. So we sent in two of our account managers. One specializes in cloud technology, and basically we actually sat there and showed them how the cloud platform works. It's from the scanning app all the way to the software, and we actually encourage one of their managers to go out for one of these courses. I mean, there are plenty of them out there. Zero does their, QuickBooks do their own courses. Just go and be certified. And once you've done that, once you understand, it's probably the understanding of the technology. I mean, a lot of people don't want to take that plunge into technology, and they're probably scared of doing it. But you have to do it because that's the future.
Well, I always say to firms, the first thing to do is get your own accounts on the cloud. If you're using a cloud accounting package, you become an advocate. And I, for example, converted a taxi driver by showing him Receipt Bank and my app, which happens to be, on this case, QuickBooks, and showed him that I could just take a photo of an expense, throw it in, and take a photo, it's gone in the accounts, rip it up, throw it in the bin. And he was going, that's amazing. My wife will love that. I
mean, all we would say is it's not as bad as people think it is.
Yeah, but if you're listening to this and you're not in the cloud yet, put your own firm's accounts on the cloud, because then you become enthusiastic about it, don't you? Let's talk about the cloud, Aaron. Let's talk about what are the benefits of moving your clients to a cloud accounting package and being able to take advantage.
I think one of the biggest advantages with the cloud technology is obviously you're on the move. I've got my one of my packages on my app. Actually, although it doesn't give you the full version of it, I can still look at the lead numbers on my accounts. But you've got with the cloud, you've got easy access to the data wherever you're traveling. So you're not. I remember that the time when we used to say, oh, it's on a particular software and it's in my office and I can't have to go there to give you the information. It's no longer the case. You can just log on from anywhere, and the data is live, and you just do it. What it also does, it improves communication between the accountant, which is yourselves, and the end client. But it could backfire as well, because the client starts asking too many questions. But so long you put a routine in place, say we will do or once a month or once a quarter, and then have a consultation with the client at the end of the quarter. All it needs is a 20-minute call, because it's live. The client can access it, you can access it, and over the phone or over Skype or whichever technology you want to use, you can just have a quick session with your client. And this way, your contact point with your client increases 4 or 5 times a year instead of once a year, which means you build a stronger relationship with your client. And with cloud, obviously, it goes paperless. All your data is digitally stored. I'm sure we'll also always have this dispute whether the revenue will accept it or not as a digital, but all your documents are paperless, so you don't.
Well, they've already made a statement to say that as long as it's not
a change. Yeah.
So
long as you prove the audit trail. Yeah.
Okay.
So paperless means that effectively all your data is there. And I have had instances where I want to check something, how much a particular expenses cost me. I just go onto my app, go onto my online package, just click the document, click the transaction, click the document, and it says.
Yeah, I use the same, and on mine I can drill down into my profit and loss account and see how many products, trainings have been sold. I can see any sort of credit notes that have been issued, and it's really 24/7, 365. I can be on top of my business.
It's actually real time. So by the month end, if you do few accruals, prepayments, and the depreciation charge, which you can put the fixed asset ledgers and all on the software, and your management reporting, you could provide as an additional service on a quarterly basis, and because of real time, you basically know what your client is doing and the client business is doing. So the client all of a sudden thinks that you're more involved in the business.
So we know that there are advantages for moving to a cloud accounting package for clients.
Mm-hmm.
Some can't and some won't move, but let's just deal and just say in total, generally, there are advantages of the cloud.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's add an MTD to the mix now, Aaron. And what are the implications for firms and their clients of making tax digital in your mind?
I think with thanks to the snap elections, but anyways, it's inevitable. It's probably coming anyways.
Yeah, well, obviously, MTD's been delayed from the Finance Act in March, and it will probably come back in some form this summer or this autumn. So one assumes that HMRC are so committed to doing this simply because they want to close the tax gap.
Yes.
They want to be able to collect payments quarterly in due course, despite the fact it says voluntary. It's all about the money, isn't it?
It is.
And therefore, HMRC are going to steamroller this in.
Okay. I think the one question, if you're obviously, this gives us slightly bit more time to prepare for MTD and plan MTD with your clients. The first point is that you don't have a choice. You just have to. The client doesn't have a choice, but to go, because it's a bit like auto enrollment. When it came in, you just have to do it, and you don't have a choice but to do it. So it's a process of educating your client that it's not accountants which is enforcing this change; it's the regulation which is enforcing the change, which means that you have to accept it.
And if you've got our Making Tax Digital Action Pack, then what we say to folks is, make sure you send out your brochure on the cloud, which outlines your services and pricing, and also send an educational letter to say this is happening, there's nothing you can do about it. However, there is a good choice here of moving to a cloud accounting package.
Yeah.
And that is an opportunity, as you say, to increase a firm's fees.
It would be, I think you have done a flyer on the whole Making Tax Digital, isn't that 2020?
We've got an action pack. We've got all the letters, all the resources that firms need to do this.
It is a massive opportunity, because I know a lot of accountants, when we have a chat and say, who's going to pay for all this? Obviously, the client has to pay for it, because it's not accountant who's enforcing it. So someone has to pay for it, and hence the end client will have to pay. And it's a job of the accountant to educate to them that, look, this is what the regulations are. You'll have to fall in line, and this is what the additional cost will be.
And these are your choices. You can either move to a cloud accounting package at this fee.
Yeah.
You can have us do your bookkeeping at this fee, which will obviously be higher. Or you'll have to find another accountant who will do that, because we don't have the resources.
Yeah, or you do it yourselves and have the risk of reporting the wrong figures and hence the wrong tax numbers.
So most clients are going to ask the accountant for help, aren't
they? They are going to, but I know that a lot of end clients would think, oh, this is so easy. We've had this the discussion with the accountant. It's so easy to do. and they make a meal of the whole allocation of expenses and stuff, and then at the end of the year it creates more job for the accountant to rectify all the issues, which is why we always insist that why don't you offer a health check service to your client, where client does bit of the bookkeeping, but you do the checking of it, making sure it's in order, and we can help you with providing the resources and stuff at the back end, because one of the other issues which comes up is how do we resource for all this?
You see, yeah, because clients are still going to make mistakes, whether you see those mistakes annually or quarterly.
Yeah.
So it's probably better to deal with them quarterly.
It is better to do, because then what, probably I'm jumping slides with the benefits of it now, but I think the client can do part of it, and part of it can be automated, and part of it finishing bit we can do, and the accountant will then discuss. The accountant can have a look at the numbers on a quarterly basis, and as I said, pick up the phone and speak to the client, and maybe they might give you that might give more opportunities to provide consultancy services. There are various other ways you can increase your fees other than your box standard monthly fee which you would charge the client. But it gives you more opportunity rather than at the end of the year, you're doing it more on a quarterly basis.
So far, Aaron, what we've said with technology, the cloud, and MTD is, number one, embrace the change.
Yeah.
Make sure you've got a cloud accounting package in your own practice, because that's very important. The next thing I'd say is make sure you train your team on a cloud accounting package, your favoured or a variety of them. I think a variety is more important than just one, because clients are choosing their own cloud accounting packages these days.
Yes.
They see the adverts on TV and listen to them on radio. So make sure your team is certified. And the fourth thing I would add just at this point is put the cloud providers' logos that you work with on your website.
Yes.
And that positions you as a cloud accounting specialist.
And also, I think a lot of these cloud accounting providers list you in their in the supplier list.
Yeah, and you will get.
So you get more visibility with that. With doing that, so.
Definitely. Either Xero and QuickBooks definitely do that. Don't they,
yes, they do.
To give their gold partners or platinum partners more visibility and a chance. And probably the next thing to do, and I'll cover this in a seminar if you're listening a bit later in the month, for those of you, and a webinar on MTD. The next thing to do is plan for the how you market and educate clients on MTD. So we'll start with the unincorporateds over 85,000. We'll send them a letter, our brochure, invite them to a seminar, go through. And the thing for firms listening today is, how do we train our clients on those cloud accounting packages? What support do we get from our cloud accounting provider? I think that's very important at this stage, to have a good look at that and make sure that you're fully on board. Okay, so don't leave it to the last minute is one of your phrases on there, Aaron.
Yes. I think one of the things I would do, if you've not, I know there are some clients who have not dabbled into cloud at all, and I know some of them do exist out there. I think the best option for you would be, I think a lot of these cloud providers offer roadshows, and a lot of they organize a lot of these seminars and events. Just go there, just explore it. So once you unless you just, at least you know what is happening out there. I'm sure a lot of 2020 clients are already aware of a lot of stuff, but people who want to do the plunge, just go to one of their roadshows and stuff.
Sure. So we need to educate our clients on how to input data, what a cloud accounting package is.
Yeah.
Because like auto enrollment that we had we are still undertaking.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm doing a webinar this afternoon on that, because there's still thousands of people who have no idea what they need to do. It's going to be the same with MTD.
It would be.
The faster you get into educating your clients that this is happening and they need to change the way they do things, the easier the process will be for you as the accountant.
Yeah.
So how do you help your clients, Aaron?
I think I've got a couple of case studies here. Obviously, we haven't mentioned names here for confidentiality. But I'll just mention a couple of practices.
Shall I read these for our
audience? Yeah, go for it.
As a growing accounting practice, one of the issues we were facing was the recruitment of high-quality staff to deliver our client work. Not only is recruitment a very difficult process, as it can be near impossible to find quality staff, but it can be also expensive and time-consuming. I looked into an alternative solution to recruitment, and I found Global Emphasis. Since contracting with them, I have not had to recruit anyone, because the standard of their work is first rate and they handle all the work without fault. My profit margins have increased. I no longer have the expense of recruitment agencies or national insurance contributions, and global emphasis have also reduced my stress levels, as I know I will always receive high quality work. I know them. I know in them we have a reliable and trusted partner. One of the reasons we bring you along, Aaron, and we partner with you, is that we have glowing reviews about the work that you have provided for our members.
Yeah, I think you can see all these glowing reviews, but what we also need to understand the amount of efforts our clients have taken to make it a success. It's not a one-way journey. I mean, it's not a quick fit. They have taken 3 to 6 months. We have worked with them, and my team in the UK and team in the back office have worked with their managers and their partners to make it a success. A lot of the success stories you say with outsourcing, I'm sure some of you will say, "Oh, I've tried it, it didn't work." But have you given it enough time for it to work? There has to be equal efforts from both sides. And in this particular case, they had serious issues with recruitment. They had staff leaving every.
I think many firms are having troubles with recruitment and staffing right now, Aaron. I think that this is a big issue for many of our clients.
It is, and more important is there's a lot of cost pressures as well, because the cost is escalating. And where do you cut corners? You have to cut corners somewhere. And with that option, A, they have improved their profit margin, and B, that staffing issue has to a large extent eliminated. I'm not saying that you have to replace all the stuff, but when someone leaves, that is the first time you think, do I recruit and have the same issue with recruitment fees, training, and maybe train them for another 6 months and they are gone? And you need the higher end staff to be retained, pay them slightly more, retain the higher end staff. But all of the sort of the low end processing work can be outsourced. Why do you want to block your senior high paying resources on a lower end job?
Yeah.
So if so long we can get the product out to you at a level which is acceptable to the managers at your practice or sole traders at the practices, then all you're doing is reviewing the work quickly, churning it out, and getting the job out. That is a caliber of staff you need. And yes, you have to pay more for that kind of stuff, but you can afford to if the lower end job is done by us.
Many of our people have said to me, I tried outsourcing, it didn't work, and I tried a job. And I said, when was that? They said, about 15 years ago. And I say, the whole thing's changed. You don't put it in a box. No. It doesn't go on a ship to India anymore. No. What you have to do is upload your data to a portal. Somebody comes along and works on it, yes. And then you notify you when it's finished, and then the firm's managers get to check it that it's up to the satisfactory standard. The whole thing's changed now, hasn't it? Technology-wise.
Technology-wise, it has changed, and with a lot of cloud-based accounting package. Even we'll run through the portal in a while at the end of this.
Yeah, we're going to show you what.
We'll show you just quickly how we upload. But a lot of that process we're going to show you is also eliminated by the fact that a lot of end clients are now scanning documents on their iPhones and their smartphones, which means that the data gathering exercise has reduced quite a lot. Yes, you will still have 10–20% of your clients who would still not do the job properly, and you will still send the job by the physical documents to you, which has to be dealt with. But yeah, but most of the clients are now uploading data onto the online.
Yeah, I mean, firms, people like me who use Receipt Bank, upload it straight away, or I'll use something called Scanner for Me, which is my favourite app, which costs me £3.50. And basically, what I do is take a photo of any document, usually invoices, on my little livery yard, and we just press that and email it to the bookkeeper. So getting data in is quite easy for many clients that are willing to embrace technology. And again, for those that aren't, you'll help deal with them. So I think it's a good idea to perhaps discuss just briefly how you can help with the changes and help firms.
I think you just have to people who have not. Okay, first of all, the firms which has tried outsourcing in the past and if they think it has not worked for them, I'm happy to have a chat with them personally to understand why it has failed. Because once I understand why it has failed, I probably will be able to give you answers to the problem. And I'm happy to come in and meet you, or one of my team members can meet you to make it a success next time. So.
And actually, you'll do a free job for anyone.
We would do a free job for all the new clients coming on board, for just to test the waters, just to see how things go, but
Will you take the messiest job that an accountant can find?
Well, once I had a client and they said, oh, we are doing a free trial, and they come up with a 100-hour job, so long within reason, we would do a free. But yeah,
you don't want an audit of a PLC.
No.
Okay.
What we would do is, if you want to pick up sort of not your easiest job, not the messiest job, say a mid-range job, try it out with us and see how things go. For people who have not tried outsourcing at all, just give us a shot. We will just I can only go through so much over the webinar, but I'm happy for us to come down and meet you to explain the
What
benefits.
type of work do you do for your clients? You've got 150 accountants that work with you.
I think more and more client inquiries we are getting and client engagements we are having with new clients, and existing clients are also pushing are around the MTD concept, because they have already started working with us. They've already started going to their clients and promoting MTD. So all of a sudden they come to us and look, I believe that we'll have about 50 clients to be done for coming on board over the next 3 months. How do we resource it? And then we work with them to say, okay, fine, we'll agree a fixed price per month per job, and they top it up. And we do things like we create our own. They create email IDs for us, so they would create something like bookkeeping at XYZ. And then we liaise with the end. We could liaise with the end client through your email IDs, and the queries and all that can be resolved directly with the client. Obviously, with the CC to one of your managers, or if it's a sole trader, CC to the sole trader. So we could act as your back office.
So you do accounting work for sole traders, partnerships, LLPs, limited companies.
Yes, and the
returns?
Yes, we do tax returns. We do payroll, and especially with the auto enrollment, a lot of our payroll inquiries have also.
And do you see a firm of accountants approaching you and saying, right, I've got 50 clients that can't go digital with MTD. What about if we got them to scan their stuff in and upload it to you? Can you deal with it?
Yes, we can do that. Probably, do you want to show?
In due course, yeah.
Yeah, I think we've got a portal where you upload your data, and I'll run through the process and then my team would then download it on and they've got dual screen, so nothing is physically printed as such, because of data confidentiality and stuff. It sits on the server. We download the information. We have got dual screen, so one screen would be your source documents, one is your software. We do all the processing, and once the job is done, completed, the client would get an email in the inbox, and they're ready to download the information.
Aaron, I've got a question here from Neil. Good morning, Neil. How do you differ from your competitors in the outsourcing market? What's different about Global Emphasis?
I think the biggest difference is that we have been in the business since 1999, and we are still in business. And I've seen a lot of outsourcing companies come and go, and we are probably the only outsourcing company who can boost off a full-fledged UK team. And due respect to other outsourcers, they just meet you once, and then they're basically salesmen, in my view. But we have got a team, because we know it's not easy to work just do a meeting with the client and a firm of accountants and then just leave it at that. It needs constant engagement with the client to make sure they're happy in what they're getting. A lot of times clients don't communicate, so we engage with the client in the UK to understand what exactly the requirements are and bridge that expectations between us and the client. And
okay. Yeah. So we're going to show you in a minute what you do, and you're going to put us on screen and show and talk through the process. Nilesh has got a question here. How does Global Emphasis deal with the EU standard on data confidentiality? And I guess the general data protection regulation that's coming in force on the 25th of July 2018.
I think we encourage a lot of our clients to, of most of the clients we have, we encourage those clients to get the work done on their servers if it's an option, which is we're getting more and more clients. They've got their own servers, or they've got their own cloud-based package, or cloud-based storage packages. I think you've got a service provider who provides online cloud, and we just log on to their server. That's a preferred way of working. Log on to their servers and use dual screens to do the processing, and so that means that the data physically sits within the country. So that way we get around that.
And you sign presumably confidentiality.
We do. We've got our standard service level contracts covers data confidentiality. We are an ISO 9001 certified business. So we are audited every year. I think we do half-yearly audit and an annual audit, half-yearly internal audit and an annual.
And you have very strong security in the Mumbai office to prevent any data breaches.
We've got a data protection document. So anyone who wants to check it out before you want to engage, we'll send you the document. I mean, basic things like you need to have the card, the fingerprint system to get into the office. A lot of the output devices are disabled, so they cannot.
You can't bring your mobile phone in.
You cannot bring it. The mobile phone has to be submitted to the managers. And when you come in, when you process the work, what you do on the system is usually monitored. There are ways of tracking what you're doing on the system, and and they cannot copy anything out of the system. And
there's a full audit trail anyway by keystroke on what they've done.
Yeah.
Okay, smashing. Let's have a look at it, Aaron. Let's try and go on the full screen.
Yeah.
While Aaron's just setting that up.
What I'm going to do is for this primarily applies for clients who do not have their own cloud-based server and who wants to still send the documents to us. That's our team, by the way. All they do is they go onto our portal and then they click on that bit.
Well, show us the portal first. Is this?
Yeah, it's basically on our website. So I'll just go back.
Show us the front website.
Yeah. So this is our website.
And what's the address?
It's giinfosys.com.
giinfosys.com.
We are going to come up with that. There's a login. So within, we are currently working on that bit, so the client can log on straight and get their own information.
So the accountant logs in.
They've got at the moment that is not active yet, but we are in the process of doing it. However, for accountants who has got scanned documents, they don't have a server or they don't want to give access to their servers, then they could go and say, for example, if I'm a sole trader and I don't want to give you access to my server, then you just go in and send a file here, click at the bottom of the page, send a file here, and I would just drop and drag the file and put my name and address and send a quick message, and I just click on upload.
And that's how easy it is to upload, say, a spreadsheet, even a scanned manual cash book, scanned receipts, scanned payments, scanned invoices, scanned expenses.
Yes.
Any of that stuff can just be uploaded quite simply, right?
Yeah, it can be. I think I've lost that screen, Ian.
Okay. So what you're seeing there, now if you've got a firm that you are allowing, if somebody says, well, we've got our own portal, come on and work, and again, it's an upload. People, for example, we're seeing more people using Citrix ShareFile, where that's all encrypted.
And they can create a login. Then what they do is they create login names and passwords for us. We just log on to their portal. We just hide security, and you can't. And the restrictions we put with them is, in fact, we insist on this, is that no copy, no print option within the portal, within their portal. So we log on to the Citrix or whichever server they have, and we just log in. And again, we've got, as I said, we've got dual screens. So one screen would pull out all the source document, the other screen would pull out the package where the bookkeeping is done or accounts is prepared. And basically, we cannot, all the copying option, printing option is disabled by the IT of the client. So basically, that eliminates the issue with data protection, and the data sits on the client server, which is in the UK.
Neil's made a comment here. We've had mixed results from engaging two outsourcing companies. One, there was a lack of quality output, and the other, we had issues tracking the work and getting the work back in time. And that's a common sort of question or comment I get is that, well, we put it in the box, we send it on a boat, we didn't see it for 6 months.
How long has Neil tried outsourcing? It depends. Has he given it enough? And more important is, has he got is he a partnership, or has he got buy-in internally? Because a lot of times it might not work out efficiently if you leave the managers to run it. You just, as a partner or as a sole trader, you might ask someone else. It's easy to delegate it, yet you need to be involved in the initial stages of 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
So that will determine which way the outsourcing goes. Yes, no one is going to guarantee you 100% quality. Let's get this right, because I've not seen a perfect file in my life, so don't expect one from me either. You're always going to have a bit of a odd job which is not got up to standard. But this is where we constantly work with you. We can talk to you on a monthly basis. We do video conferencing with our team in UK and India. We do phone calls with the client. We also physically come and meet you. This is where we engage with each of our clients to make sure they are getting what they expect they are getting. And if there are going to be issues, don't get me wrong, there are going to be issues, which is why you need to iron out these issues over the next 3 to 6 months. In spite of that, if it's not working, then either we have failed as an outsourcer, or you have not put in enough efforts to make it work.
Okay, Jackie's got a question here for you. My experience of outsourcing has struggled with making sure the outsourcer has all the knowledge they need to prepare the accounts.
Okay.
We have a lot of background knowledge, which helps a lot with the work, and it is hard to make sure we pass it all across. How do you cope with that?
Okay, we have got a concept called KOB, we call it, which is knowledge of business. So our order form, which is the form when you send out a piece of, probably we are talking about the year-end jobs here, because it's not so much of an issue with the bookkeeping job, because by the time you've done the second, third month, you'll have a fair understanding of the business. I think the reference is more to do with the compliance year-end, where you do once a year, you don't have a clue what the client is doing, whereas the accountant would be constantly engaging with the client. They'll have, but obviously the knowledge you've got about the client is not going to be the same as our knowledge about your client, because you're closer to the client. Now, the question is, what would you do with a junior member of your staff in your office? You're going to brief that junior member of the staff who would actually do the processing, say, this is a client, and you will give them a history of the client. All we are asking you to do is that put the brief history about the client, the do's and don'ts, or things. You don't need to write a thesis, but a one-page document about what the client does, what are the issues we should be aware of. So long it's mentioned in the KOB or in the order form, we've got templates which we can provide, and they can populate the template, and we will run with this in the first few jobs and see how things go.
Okay.
So like you have to, like you're a junior member of the staff, you have to you have to treat us as part of your team in essence.
Yeah, and I think you've got to constantly try new opportunities. I think with the snap election delaying the legislation, that gives us a little bit of a window, maybe 3-4 months, where we could try out a bit of outsourcing. We could try a couple of jobs just to see whether or not it's going to work for our firm. And I think that's important. Don't write this off, because if you have got a whole bunch of clients that can't go digital, these guys can make sure they get you the right job done at the right price.
Yes, I think, which is why we are happy to come in and meet you guys and understand what your problem points, your pain points are. Because unless I understand what exactly is getting wrong, or what has gone wrong in the previous relationships, I will not be able to fix those issues, or come back to you and say, okay, the reason for this is probably this. You will find that one of the other issues is you don't get the job back on time. Now, one of the biggest issues we find is that we raise notes and queries, or queries on the jobs, and the accountant it goes to the accountant. The accountant sends it to the end client, and the end client sits on it for month, 2 months, and then they decide one day when the filing date is nearer that they'll get time to respond to it, and then the accountant will expect us to churn it back fairly quickly. So it depends on.
It's about communication.
It's all about communication, and also it's also educating the client. I know it's easy to say, but educating the end client to say that, look, unless you are responding to our queries quickly enough, we cannot guarantee the job will come back.
However, with MTD, that's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen. Everything has to be live. Exactly. And it's in a way, it's a blessing in disguise for the accountants, because with MTD happening, at the end of if you're doing your quarterly tracking or quarterly bookkeeping, your end of year becomes so much easier, because you just have to do your year-end journals and whatnot, and then people are using working paper files and stuff. It becomes a lot more easier for the accountant to finalize the year-end quicker, and you end up making more money on the job.
Okay. Question in here that's come off the screen. What are the qualifications of the people in Mumbai?
They are mixed. So some of them are. I think the person who heads who's head of the India operations is a UK trained, UK qualified accountant. I think you've met Kehul as well.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest things, one of us had to relocate to India, and Kehul very kindly decided to relocate in 2010. Although I understand he was not. I think he likes.
Okay, so you've got a chartered accountant heading up. What about the people actually doing the work?
They're mixed up. They are mixed. That's our Harrow team. So I'll just go into the main production house, which is them. I think you've got a fair mix of teams. Some of them are MBAs, some are ACCAs, some are part qualified accountants, and the ones who are not qualified are qualified by experience. So they've been with us. I mean, some of our managers have been with us for 8, 9, close to 10 years. So we've got the knowledge within the business, and we just train other people and upgrade their knowledge. So a lot of the managers, I mean, a lot of these guys you see there have been with me for probably over 10 years. Some of them have been with me since inception. So that's the biggest strength of our team.
The interesting thing about India as a concept, obviously it's a massive country. It's a superpower these days, with billions of people.
Yeah.
How many millions of chartered accountants do you have there?
I've lost count, honestly.
It's over 1 million, do you know that?
Probably, yeah.
It's well over 1 million
Yeah.
Indian chartered accountants, and you think in the UK there's about 100,000. So it just shows you the scale and the fact that.
And there are a lot of commerce graduates or MBAs which come out of the universities, and obviously they're not ready to go on production straight away, but we have to train them. We go through about 3 to 6 months rigorous training exercise with them, and the training is not limited to the accounting, because accounting concepts are similar, because it's the accounting principles in India has been.
I have to be honest with you. I am. We struggle with staff in the UK.
Yeah.
But in India, I'm so impressed with the quality of the people and the security that you have around the office. So I don't think those are particular issues. I think the main issues for firms considering the use of outsourcing is, as they think about MTD, is the communication and how they upload stuff to you and make sure that you're both on the same sheet.
Yeah, communication, the way that each of the clients will be given an account manager in India and in UK. So if they can't get hold of your India account manager, you can contact the UK account manager. If you can't get hold of the UK account manager, you can liaise.
And your team in India work UK hours anyway, don't they?
Yeah, close enough to UK hours. I think they're there till about, now it's summertime, it's easier because the clocks have changed. I think usually about 3:30, 4 o'clock, the UK time, they're there till that time, and they go.
But they're in earlier.
They're in earlier, so they've got a slight advantage of 2-3 hours vis-a-vis UK.
Neil's actually made a comment here. A combination of the best bits of the options we have used thus far would sort us. Now, how flexible are you in the arrangements that you have with your 150 UK firms? I mean,
80.
Sorry?
80 UK firms.
80 UK firms, forgive me, I got staff and firms mixed up. So you've got 80 firms you work with in the UK. How flexible are you on, and what sort of variety of input methods do they have?
Yeah. I think we've got right at the top level. So let's say the top level clients would be those who would have probably 10 staff working for them, and they send us enough work, and the quality of the product they get is more consistent because it's the same people who are doing the work day in and day out, because they've got a dedicated staff doing the work. I know when someone starts outsourcing initially, it's very difficult for them to commit on a dedicated staff because they don't want to make a commitment yet. Hence, we encourage our newer clients to try us out for a while, for about 2-3 months before you want to make a commitment with a dedicated. But the more dedicated members you have working for you, the more it works better for you.
Yeah.
And
having your own team of 2 or 3 dedicated fee earners, 4 or 5, is got to be much better than just having some random person.
Yeah, because then if you have a random person, then what you're doing is waiting for someone to finish a job for someone else before they start. So the turnaround time becomes a bit of an issue there when you're not sending regular work, because we still get to manage for compliance work, the year-end accounts and stuff. We still get to manage about 3-week turnaround where you don't have dedicated staff members. But where we've got dedicated staff members, it's like you decide the priorities. You decide which jobs need to come back first.
Tell me about pricing and And just comparatively, compared with the UK, how much cheaper are you than a UK fee earner, for example?
I think our business model works on a fixed cost basis, so we will charge you a fixed fee per job. Now, what we find is just getting to the fee structure a bit. For a year-end job, you could look at a multiple of. I've seen multiples of what we charge. It could be anywhere from 6, 7 times to 10 times, 12 times, depending on how much the accountant charges the end client. But typically, from a cost comparison purposes, it depends where your firm is located. Now, if it's more of a London M25 belt practice, then you're probably looking at more like 40%, whereas
so you're 40% of the cost of the firm.
No, it will be 40% cost saving to the
40% cost saving.
This most likely will be on a like-to-like basis, which is just the salary and the employee's NI. We're not even comparing the other add-ons like the holiday pay and the. So we don't.
Okay, so that's an interesting. It's going to be more cost effective.
It is.
What I think is more valuable to people listening today is the scalability.
Yeah. So hence I say you try us for 2-3 months with a few jobs, and we will work closely with you to make it work. Once you're satisfied with that, then tell us how many staff you want, and then we will take it up from there.
So if people want to contact you, Aaron, to help them, A, with the concept of MTD, B, experiment and try a few things out with you, with various clients, then your contact details are on the screen there.
Yeah. I think we can also, I'm happy to give away our solutions email ID as well. We don't have an email ID here. Do you want to share our email address if someone wants to contact us over email?
Yes, please do that.
It'll be solutions, which is SOLUTIONS @giinfosys.com. If anyone wants to just drop an email, and then we can agree a preliminary block out a time for a call. Me with one of my colleagues are happy to have a chat.
Now, if you want to have a trial job with Global Emphasis, please contact Aaron. We'll follow it up with an email to you with your details anyway, and we'll put your email on there. So if you've listened to this webinar live, we'll send you the contact details. Thing to remember here with MTD is you've got to start planning for it now. You've got to become an advocate of the cloud. And you've got to think about your staffing and your scalability issues of going from an annual set of accounts manually to quarterly digital. I think the whole thing about outsourcing is it does give you that scalability, and it does give you another option.
I think all I would say is that I hear a lot of accountants, oh, MTD is coming, how do I handle all this, how do I resource on all this? I mean, talk to us because you have to first start with the process of educating your client, and it's not going to be easy. With them to get onto cloud and all this, but when it comes to the back end of actually churning the work out, we will provide you the support. So you don't need to think about going out and recruiting more staff. All I would say is instead of recruiting staff in the UK, recruit a team with us, and we actually have done this in the past. We have built a team for you, which will have your email addresses and all that, like bit like you do with your other businesses. We could develop a team for you and build a team for you who will probably work purely for you, and they can report, apart from reporting to our managers, they can report to your managers. So that way the managers at your practices have got, or sole traders have got more control on the staff rather than thinking that they've lost control on the job. And that's one of the things accountants normally say, how do I lose control on it? If you want control on the staff and control on the job, then you're probably better off going for a dedicated seat model, and that person is yours.
And that gives you the opportunity to be very aggressive in your marketing about MTD and go and have a go at all those firms that haven't even heard of this stuff yet.
What we could do is we could start with the shared services, which means we will share a staff between 2-3 clients, and when you think that you're ready to explode to the next level, just tell us how many staff you need, and then we will strip that work out and put it in a team.
I think generally I am seeing more outsourcing being done by more firms in the UK than ever. And people like Aaron at Global Emphasis will be able to talk to you about perhaps how that works. Use their experience of firms that are 100% on the cloud already using your services, and making tax digital for them is just like pressing a button every quarter, like doing a VAT return. So it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah, I think a lot of our existing firms, they're already on the cloud because they are well ahead of the game, and they have I think their recovery rates is quite good, as I see, because they work on a fixed cost base. And the beauty of this exercise is that you could put people on standing orders on a monthly basis because you are perceived to be or you are actually providing a value on a monthly basis rather than end of the year. So from a cash flow and from a credit control point of view, it probably makes sense to put MTD on, put them on a monthly standing order, and say this is the fee payable by monthly standing orders.
Give me one gem for our audience to take away. What's the one thing you'd say to them to get ready for MTD?
Scaremonger the client.
That's raise anxiety. I'd probably call it educating the client because they're not going to be very happy about it.
No,
they have to be told about it.
Do they have the choice? Unless
My gem for you today is to make sure that you embrace cloud in your own practices. If you're on the cloud, you're going to become a fan and you're going to share that enthusiasm with your clients. Aaron, brilliant to speak to you today. Thanks for coming up to Birmingham from Harrow to talk to us. I thought it was great education. I hope everybody enjoyed listening in today. If you've got further questions for Aaron, he'll be absolutely delighted to hear from you. If you want to try a trial job with Aaron, please do so. All that remains for me to say is enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you.
Thank you.